financial sector or mining sector. Waterloo's ICT cluster, which obviously has a mirror in the GTA, as well as Durham Region's energy sector, an emerging health and biosciences sector. You've mentioned three of the other clusters in which we take enormous pride on the banners next door. Smart energy, clean tech that goes with smart energy, digital technology, from search engine people across to many other startups and established companies, as well as that great strength for our region, advanced manufacturing, where with a slightly lower dollar and a stronger American economy, we are poised to see growth again, I think on a scale that we haven't seen for years and possibly for decades. Clusters are home to large, deep pools of specialized labor, giving firms access to the skills they need to grow. There are those symbiotic relationships with educational institutions, with non-governmental bodies, not-for-profit bodies that are so critical. Academic institutions and research labs are the source of new ideas, and interactions between these institutions and firms generate positive spillovers, which is why we are so proud, under the leadership of Jim Flaherty, to have invested and reinvested in new institutions like UIT, still relatively new, expanded ones like Durham College, centers of excellence like the Automotive Center of Excellence, and many smaller initiatives that we know are contributing. Real prosperity can only come from this circle of innovation and development. And let me add, as your Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, how clear it is to me that it is these circles of innovation, circles of partnerships, fostering new ideas and turning them into businesses that underpin the popularity, the attractiveness of Canada in the global market to newcomers, to new immigrants. We have never, our economic performance has been strong, remains strong, but we have never been in a position to attract the caliber, the quality, by objective measures, language, education, professional experience, of newcomers that we are getting today. And it's not just that they know there is a job here, potentially for them, to a greater extent than there would be in Europe or even in many parts of the US. It is because of the startup culture that Canada is increasingly known for. It is because of the strong communities, the livable communities that we boast. When the Economist Intelligence Unit reports that 3 of the top 5 cities to live in the world last year were in Canada, you start to get an idea of what is driving our success in the global marketplace. And obviously universities and colleges are critical both to quality of life and to innovation at all levels, which is why we're proud to have seen the growth of Durham College, UIT, and Trent in this region, and we want it to go further in the years to come. So how does FedDev support the development of these clusters or economic ecosystems? Well, there are 4 Southern Ontario prosperity initiatives, and I really do think they're worth mentioning because they're all relevant to us in Durham region, and I do think there's room for us to benefit from them even further than we have to date. Together, they represent more than $500 million in available financing over 5 years. One of these 4 initiatives is called Investing in Commercialization Partnerships. We call it ICP. It directly supports the development of clusters. This funding was created so Southern Ontario can improve its performance at tapping into the expertise of research institutions and moving knowledge from our renowned colleges and universities like UIT, like Durham College, out to the marketplace. This has been an area where Canada needed to move up a couple of levels. We've had great research, we've had great academic success. We haven't been, though we're starting to be, a world leader in the commercialization of those ideas, and this program will help us go further. ICP supports business-led partnerships with a focus on developing globally competitive products and services. It does this by supporting collaboration among a cross-section of companies and the region's public research institutions. These projects are expected to strengthen existing or emerging economic clusters or to develop innovation platforms that allow private sector companies to test, refine, and develop applications and bring these to market. The second initiative is called Investing in Business Innovation. This is of interest to early stage companies and entrepreneurs. It helps them overcome the typical hurdles they face at this stage of business, particularly with respect to raising adequate capital in order to commercialize the next breakthrough product. And we are starting to have in Durham region a strong startup ecosystem centered on our universities and colleges, centered on our existing clusters, reinforced by initiatives like Spark and others. But let's remind ourselves how important this is to sustaining jobs, growth, and prosperity over the long term. There is really no sector that can afford to do without a strong and vibrant ecosystem of startups around them. I was just in Fredericton, New Brunswick yesterday to announce some new entrepreneurs who are benefiting from our startup visa for entrepreneurs, where we are literally offering the opportunity to be permanent residents to those with bright ideas anywhere in the world who get support from a venture capital player, from an angel investor, from an incubator. And Fredericton, a town of 70,000, like many smaller cities, big towns in Canada, is grasping this opportunity, as I know we are all seeking to do across Durham region from Oshawa to Pickering and beyond. The third initiative is called Investing in Business Growth and Productivity. It's designed to help businesses with exactly what the name indicates, growing and becoming more productive through activities such as adopting new technologies and processes, expanding markets, integrating into global value chains. And this is the complexity of having clusters and having success. No cluster, very few clusters, no matter how large they are, represent the entire global value chain. It usually involves certainly other cities, more often than not other provinces and other countries. And so understanding how we can fit into those supply chains, how an entirely different industry might actually need a product that is part of one of our clusters here is a challenge, but one that we want to meet by promoting that kind of thinking among all of our businesses. More of our businesses need to invest in machinery and equipment to improve productivity. We've seen a lot of that in recent years. We want it to go further. We want them also to scale up their operations to ensure we're effectively competing in the global market and seizing this opportunity of free trade. Tim mentioned it. We've talked about it in Durham over and over again. You get it. But this is the dawn of a new era for Canada in terms of free trade. NAFTA was great, but with Canada-Korea free trade, with Canada-EU comprehensive economic and trade agreement, we are talking about access to 1/2 of the world's economy, secure, tariff-free access to 1/2 of the world's GDP, to 500 million new affluent consumers in Europe. And we want businesses to be thinking in terms of those opportunities and scaling up to seize them. Finally, the fourth prosperity initiative was created to support smaller communities. The Investing in Regional Diversification initiative recognizes that Southern Ontario remains home to many small communities with one or two main employers. We have some of those communities in the north of Durham region. This creates a unique challenge when an economic downturn hits, so this funding is geared at helping to diversify a community's economy. But that challenge of diversifying and adapting to new conditions in the global economy never ends for any of us. And so the Prosperity Initiative is relevant to us too here. Just last December, FedDev Ontario also launched the Advanced Manufacturing Fund, or the AMF, which I think we know quite well. It's intended to accelerate the commercialization of innovations and encourage the adoption of new technologies that are first in Canada. It also supports collaboration between the private sector, research institutions, and post-secondary institutions with the goal of accelerating adoption and commercialization of new advanced manufacturing methods and products. And let's give ourselves a compliment. We in Southern Ontario, despite all the challenges we see, despite the vision we have of going much further, we are good at advanced manufacturing. And we need to continue seizing those opportunities and continue thinking globally to ensure they achieve all the growth potential that they have. Through AMF, a total of $200 million over 5 years is available across Ontario to help manufacturers. And we're looking for manufacturing firms and not-for-profits to come forward to make proposals to enjoy the benefits of this funding. We're looking for large-scale, transformative projects that are innovative, market-relevant, and generate obvious economic spillovers for the whole community. Beyond this programming suite, designed specifically for Southern Ontario, we obviously still have tax incentives that benefit small and medium-sized businesses. We have the Scientific Research and Experimental Development Program, and for our manufacturers, the Accelerated Capital Cost Allowance on Manufacturing and Processing Equipment. I once tried to say that in French in the House of Commons, and it didn't come out very well. But how important that is to our manufacturers here. We've also ensured a fair and transparent government procurement, which is another one of those drivers of innovation and success in innovation in the economy as a whole. The defense procurement strategy, for example, which is tens of millions of dollars, depending on how far forward you want to look, is providing an incentive for bidders to work with Canadian businesses to help create jobs and opportunities here in Canada. And that kind of procurement strategy, with its strategic focus on capabilities we will need to renew or develop in the next 5 years, 10 years, it has the potential to give us new clusters, to give us whole new industries as we remain committed to procuring, especially for defense, the best products and services in Canada while remaining open to a global market and helping our companies to export. I mentioned free trade earlier. Canada has never been in a better position to attract investment, to trade freely, and grow our exports with a broader range of markets than we are today. Now, I know you have a very full schedule with exceptional speakers and interesting discussions. We all know that economic prosperity isn't something that just happens. It takes leadership. It takes constant attention by you, by us in government at all levels. But above all, it takes discussion, planning, and partnership together. Because it's not that one big project that counts. It is the sum of individuals and locals' activities like this one that make our Durham region strong, that make us strong across the country. And let me say, in closing, that in support of everything you are doing and everything you're talking about in this conference, our immigration system is transforming itself to support you. It has been a period of very dynamic reform, transformational reform for immigration, lowering backlogs, reforming our programs, putting innovation at the center of immigration through the startup visa, through a new immigrant investor venture capital pilot that we will be announcing later today. We're going to have higher levels of immigration next year, slightly higher levels, because we know we cannot meet the economic challenge. We cannot meet the needs of industries across the country, of regions that are experiencing breakneck growth without slightly higher levels. We also want many of those temporary workers whose status is coming to an end and who may be affected by the reforms we had of that program to make the transition when they have employment, when they're needed in Canada, to permanent status, and continue working to reduce backlogs in areas like parents and grandparents and caregivers. We will have a new system for delivering economic immigration. As of January 1st, it's called Express Entry. It's faster, 6-month processing. It's much more geared to the interests of the real economy, of you as employers. It will involve governments, provincial, territorial, municipal, and employers in the process of recruiting the talent we need when Canadians aren't available to do the job. And it will make us, I think, once again, far and away the strongest country in the world in terms of its immigration programs, in terms of our understanding of what it takes to give immigrants, to make immigrants successful, to integrate them, to settle them properly. So thank you so much for the opportunity to chat. I'm open to questions if there's any time. Otherwise, happy to chat with any of you after this session. Thank you very much.